An astonishing career, and astonishing the way he affected all of our lives.
You know, what people can't see are the floor crew
doing the
dancing
dance to
behind,
New York, New York.
kicking and swinging to New York, New York.
You know, he lived 20 lives, I think, in one lifetime, didn't he?
He did.
He just
very,
resurrected
as Barbara Walters was talking about, a very, very complicated man. You see it in his politics. He, you know, the same man put together John Kennedy's inauguration and then put together Ronald Reagan's inauguration.
Exactly.
Bill,
All
stick
sides.
around with us, would you?
We'll be back in a second. Sinatra's daughter Nancy's going to be speaking about her father.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places.
Who knew a very different side of him. Here's his daughter Nancy talking about him in an interview done for ABC's Turning Point.
It's kind of every man's story in a way. His parents came from Italy at the turn of the century. The story begins there, and it tells all about the small town of Hoboken and the neighbors, and it goes really virtually to the turn of this next century.
When I was a kid in Hasbrook Heights, his singing
He was thrilled to hear they'd put a marker in the house that he was born in. He was very touched by that. He had a lot of weird jobs when he was a kid, and that colored his life too. He worked on the docks, he worked for a newspaper, very little schooling. Has since earned doctorates from various universities. He was determined to be a success. My mother talks about that all the time.
Nancy, with a laughing face.
How he, when they were so young and just dating, how he wanted to be like Bing Crosby.
You've got to spread joy up to the maximum.
And she used to say, well, you can be.
Frank Sinatra vocalizing.
Until I hear you at the door.
It took a long time for the public to know about him. Nobody knew who he was, you know. I mean, we had communication by radio. We didn't have television. But the touring with the bands and all that, you know, brought him to so many cities.
Sometimes I wonder.
You can trace the country's technology by looking at my father's life.
Just give me 5 minutes and I'll have the other number ready.
I'll get a smoke.
He started with the megaphone. He said that when he used to sing with the megaphone, kids would try to throw pennies and nickels in to try and get him into his mouth.
What is America to me?
In every description of my father that I can think of, the word American is there. Whether it's an American original, an American legend, an American treasure, an American baritone, American's always there.
In the wee small hours of the morning,
Everybody identifies with the music,
while the whole wide world is
so they can sort of place where they were when that particular song came out.
When I was 17,
Whether they were proposing to their now wife or having a baby or just going to a dance or whatever, necking in the backseat of a car.
We work in the same way, only in different areas.
He was an Elvis fan. He loved Elvis.
love me tender, love me sweet.
There are a few that he has really taken to. Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen.
I have got you under my skin.
He was always cool, like the epitome of cool.
So deep in my heart.
I think Bono said that in a speech somehow, somewhere. The Grammys.
The King of New York City, Francis Albert Sinatra.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places.
He's always said, I have 3 Oscars and 3 kids. Why he equates them, I don't know.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
He used to introduce himself as Nancy's father, which I always got a kick out of, because I was always Frank's daughter.
You're what I've waited for, and you're my girl.
Can you imagine having Frank Sinatra be your dad?
No, he had two other kids, of course, Frank Jr. and Tina. Married 4 times. Nancy, his first wife, who the kids are from. Ava Gardner, Mia Farrow, and his current wife, Barbara.
Barbara.
Who we send our condolences to.
More on Frank Sinatra. Good Morning America continues.
This is a song he wrote for Nancy, actually.
Frank's parenting advice included hug your kids often and show up for the important moments.
He not only performed at my grad night, he brought Keely Smith and the whole Nelson Riddle Orchestra and paid for it.
Then there was his loyalty, which never had a statute of limitations. It didn't matter that he was divorced from Mia Farrow for 25 years. After she discovered Woody Allen was having an affair with her adopted daughter, Frank gallantly offered to have Allen's legs broken. Ava remained his friend, as did his first wife Nancy, even after he married Barbara. Nor did he dump some very controversial friends. Sinatra believed that a real man took care of his friends, his family, and anyone who was taken advantage of.
He's a great friend. He's befriended me a few times, and I will always be indebted to him.
Sinatra was one of the first real stars to battle racism. Certain doors that were closed to performers like Sammy Davis Jr. were suddenly pushed open by Sinatra's clout.
40 years ago, there were bigots who criticized what I was doing, and I felt no need to apologize or explain myself.
And ironically, the song that did explain him was the one song he initially didn't like. He felt My Way focused too much attention on him. That was his way, especially when it came to charity.
He'd read in the newspaper that a church needed a new steeple, and suddenly the steeple would be delivered, and the church would never know who sent it. The man had more grace than any celebrity we have in our time. Isn't that odd? I mean, yet he's thought to be a bully, and yet the most graceful bully you'll ever know.
What a world, what a life I'm in love.
There's no secret that Sinatra will be one of the few performers whose artistry will be listened to and seen for generations to come. But hopefully history won't forget his offstage performances, which were often as memorable.